You're now listening to the Twilla Happy Hour podcast.
I'm your host, David Bice.
I'm Jared Anderson, and this is a local politics and event podcast.
I'm sure I could steal the Great Salt Lake.
All right. Welcome to the Twilla Happy Hour podcast. Got a couple of things to chat about. Dave had an interview at was it a county stump meeting or something?
So Greg Hughes for governor came out to Twilla County to present his case for why people should vote for him. And he's an interesting character from my perspective because as a veteran, he's the individual who pushed for the Purple Heart education bill. And that allows veterans with Purple Hearts to get free education within the state of Utah.
At state schools,
yeah.
University of Utah, the Aggies.
Just a little extra something on that GI Bill opportunity.
So it won't help out, say, with BYU. Is Dixie a state school?
Geez, I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't either. Is Dixie still a school? No.
It is still called Dixie.
Yeah.
But anyway, he had a lot of resistance on that. So he was a character that I found to be kind of intriguing. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to listen to what he has to say. And I got him in a corner for about 15, 20 minutes to talk, and it turned out pretty well. I learned a few new things about the inland port.
Yeah, that kind of seems to be a big strong point of his.
Right.
But honestly, I don't think there's any Republican Utah politicians against it right now. There's, of course, the I don't know if the Democrat politicians are or not. For some reason, we can't talk to any of them. They just keep flaking out on us. But I don't know if they're I don't. It doesn't seem like, Republican politicians are against it, but they're usually more pro business.
Yeah, and I originally, I have to admit, I was kind of against the idea. I've heard a lot of people protesting the inland port. I'm not a big taxation guy anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of having more trucks in the area and things like that, that was probably on the surface of my mind when I originally heard the case for the inland port. Me too.
It gets congested enough in there at North Salt Lake. It's, it's bad. And let's face it, whether you are, believe in the climate change, the pollution in Salt Lake is real. I mean, you could chew on that in the summer. And that's not, that is a mix of people and environment, but you've got water on the north, mountain on the east, mountain on the west, and a cataract at the south, which traps anything that's heavier than the light air, and it traps there. So it's going to be there. And you can kind of go back. It's been there even before cars.
Yeah, well, that's just part of the nature of our geology here. And I tried to always ask him questions that kind of pertain to Twilla, since it's a Twilla podcast.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to spend more time.
But we do care about all of Utah. And
yeah. And I wanted to ask about marijuana legalization, things like that. The alcohol ABC group, what is it called? The ABC.
Yeah.
And our socialist alcohol policies and things like that. I really wanted to dive into that. But, you can only hold on to these people for so long. So
I think we should try to get someone else in here to pin down on that.
Yeah, well, they're relevant questions to all of Utah. So I asked mainly about transportation in Utah and the inland port, since he was a really big inland port guy. And I just wanted to say I walked away with a much more positive perspective on the inland port.
Mm-hmm.
The way he made it sound as if we route the traffic correctly, we'll actually be reducing the amount of trucks on the road using the rail, and we can also probably capture a lot of the workforce and keep them here in Tooele instead of having them travel.
Imagine if right now, from what I heard, I haven't counted people, but it's 3 out of 4 people work on the other side of the mountain.
That's a lot.
That's 3 out of 4 people driving around that I-80 right around the point of the mountain. And that's pollution too. So, what difference would that make?
I'm not sure, but the math sounded promising to him, and he made a pretty good case. So, I'll let the audience decide on what they think through that interview. But I say I walk away with a very positive perspective on it. I hope Tooele gets it. But the only thing that really holds me back in reserve at the current moment is the eminent domain of other people's property. That's scary to me. If we have to go that far.
Where when you heard about eminent domain, where did you hear about? I mean, what areas would be eminent domain?
The rumors on eminent domain in Tooele were heard on Facebook, but whether it's true or whether it's not, I can't really confirm. But I will say that if that's the route we have to go, I'm really not for using eminent domain for this.
If they pay 2 weeks ago market value, buy my house, please.
Yeah, right.
Because everything's dumping, which we'll talk about that here in a minute. But anyways, now one of the shows I listened to, Commissioner Milne was on there and Stewart was on there, and Congressman Stewart, and I think it was Congressman Stewart. I just listened to it. It was like a kind of a business newscast or something, but they talked about it, that they can select areas where they'll be able to set up kind of Port Authority stuff, and it doesn't have to be all there at North Salt Lake where the major hub is. They could build stuff further out west, pick a different county. Essentially you need to have railroad, and then they can manage it like that. And then also our industry that ships stuff out, it might save them a step.
Yeah, it's not going to be just one inland port if they do this here.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be like multiple different stations. They're going to break it up.
That's their plan.
And it sounds like a better plan than just having one.
It does. It does. Yeah, I'm still ambivalent on it. I really would like to see how it pans out in the end. I'd like to see what they end up doing with it. I have, as you know, I have a minor distrust of most government actions, because governments are just people, and let's face it, the government fails more than it succeeds.
Yeah, that's a given. I just kind of accept that in life.
Yeah.
So speaking about government failures, I don't know if we can blame this on the U.S. government, but our coronavirus situation right now. I got a really interesting email in my inbox by the Republican Party. So on the 24th of March, we were supposed to have our Republican caucus because of the gathering limits of 100 people or more. The Republican caucus has been canceled, and instead of electing new delegates for this 2020 election,
we're just going to run with last year's.
We're just going to run with the old ones. And I don't know, something about that really just triggers me.
Well, I don't know. I don't know who the old ones were. I'm not a Republican. I'm a quirky independent. So the thing about the Republican caucus in Utah is probably about like dealing with the Democrat caucus in California. It doesn't matter. There's, it's the bounding majority, and there's kind of a state religion, where in California there's kind of a state religion. So one person kind of fits that need where they pick up the bulk of the majority.
Yeah. Even if you have the votes in the caucus, it seems like Romney wins anyway. But
Yeah.
this time around, I really want
Do you think we'll
to be
run
one of those.
Romney out?
I really wanted to run in the caucus as a delegate so I could
Mhm.
say no to Romney. Just
I don't know why
I did.
I don't see why they can't do a caucus over the internet. Because a caucus is open. You speak in the open. Just turn on a web service where everyone jumps on there, and you could have a virtual caucus,
Mm-hmm. Eventually, I'm sure it'll go that way. I mean, it wouldn't make sense not to. All the technology's there. Everyone's learning how to use it. I mean, even guys like us can start a podcast.
Jesus. I run 2 podcasts, and I'm a freaking ape. I'm second generation to walk upright, and I know how to turn a computer on and do some minor stuff. It'd be simple to do, easy, simple. You could make it secure. You sign on. You've got a camera right there that you can hold your ID up, do any verification there. It'd be easy to do.
Yeah.
But coronavirus is attacking us. It's going to tear us down.
Or will it? I don't know. I have my doubts. I'll tell you this, though.
I have nothing but doubts about it, but
it does make protesters in Hong Kong be quiet. That's for sure.
Has it?
Oh, yeah. They all went home.
Did they? Because I've seen some pictures of them out in gas masks protesting.
Right now? Lately?
Well, a week ago.
Hmm.
Because what did you hear about the protesters in Hong Kong before that?
Before coronavirus?
Yeah, not a lot unless you went to the dark areas of the internet. The news never talked about it.
I guess maybe just the feeds that I observed on the internet do. But
Yeah.
not anymore. I don't hear anything about it.
Yeah. And maybe they did go home. That's another interesting one. But again, it doesn't deal with Utah or Tooele or even the United States. Although, if you think about free speech and freedom of local jurisprudence, you're going to see stuff like that creep around the world. It's the way it goes.
Well, they're finding a lot of excuses to make the coronavirus influence politics and influence
The
our
news.
ability to influence politics.
The issue is the news. I think the government's just reacting to this. Both sides, all sides of the government, pro or con. It's the news is just selling it.
Yeah.
They want your eyes to be on there to hear about the latest corona nightmare and this. So that's all they talk about nonstop is just a coronavirus.
And toilet paper.
Oh.
And it's true. There's no toilet paper out there. It's crazy. Thank God for baby wipes.
Dude, they're gone now too. When this is over, diapers are gone. When this is over, someone's going to be sitting there in his toilet paper fort going, oh, maybe I should have, I could have invested that $400 I spent on toilet paper in anything.
Well, I guess right now is a good time to invest in just about anything in the market. I mean,
yeah,
it's got to come back. What goes up comes down, and
yeah, it makes you wonder: are we at the bottom yet? Let's see. I'm telling you, once at my day job, once they let us hourly guys go home, the managers they've already put out, work from home if you feel nervous, whatever. But us hourly guys, the guys that have to fill orders, they haven't said it. But once they make an offer like that, I'm going to throw $1,000 on whatever, because, something not collapsing, but, maybe throw $1,000 at Ford computers, invest in anything computers right now wouldn't be a bad idea, because you're going to see a lot of work from home. Anyone who can work from home, they're going to be doing it. And they send all the kids home.
Oh, that did happen yesterday, right?
Yeah.
That's when they declared that.
Yeah, like 2 weeks, kids are off.
Okay, so the Republican caucus is off. Kids are off.
Yep.
I know they're trying to offer some vacation time where I work at the airport to anyone who wants it. And I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe people will start slowing down. And
they've told us
drinking
no
some coffee
vacation
and chilling
time for
out.
you guys. They've already, everything's the same, unless you're, a guy that sits on a computer out here. But you guys that, operate machinery, no, get your ass to work.
Production.
production, it is what it is.
And production's going to have a huge bounce back. I mean,
that's
think
the thing.
about that. All this stuff that's
the thing.
gone right
But
now.
my
It's gonna have to be
401,
replenished.
my 401k has taken a big shit right now. Gosh.
You and me both. I had most of my money invested in government, waiting for a big collapse, and then it went down, and I'm like, oh yeah, just throw it all back into the market. Then it went down more, and I'm like, wow, I just lost out on a great opportunity. I'm sure I'm not the only one too.
Oh yeah, everyone has. It's still not anywhere near what it was in 2008. You know, we had guys at my work that lost, six figures in 2008 just in their 401k. Just took a drink. And so and then this one, we got one guy that's about 3 years out from retirement, and who's telling me, well, I'm gonna have to work an extra 3 months now just to get up to that level I feel comfortable at. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say that the interview went well. We are having a coronavirus outbreak now, but don't stop looking at the politicians that want to influence our state, our county. And
the politicians, the media.
I had a big Joe Biden moment at this interview too.
Oh, did you?
So I'm sure the comments will throw me a little love. I had a complete Joe Biden moment. I forgot the guy's name.
Oh, yeah, when you called him Gary.
Gary instead of Greg.
But he corrected you without snapping. He just said Greg, and
he did.
And you got in on it, and it happens. I mean, our current governor is Gary, and I'm a little bit negative towards Governor Herbert right now. I don't like, all right, if you're going to fake a democracy on me, at least fake it on the little stuff. When the whole state votes, let's do some kind of medical marijuana or legalize it. Don't go, well, you guys aren't good enough to decide your own fate.
We're going to get there. I think in the next couple
we're going to
years,
have to get there.
We're going to get there.
Because everyone around us will be there. So we'll have to get there.
Yeah, I just got back from Amsterdam not too long ago. And you walk into the stores and they've got energy drinks and chocolate bars with all this marijuana stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not a marijuana user.
Neither am I.
I'm just all about, if there's a freedom out there that doesn't hurt anyone, give them that freedom.
And it would save us so much money in the drug confiscation market.
The drug war, and right now, I mean, let's look at all of your Bill of Rights are being destroyed by the drug war. Your First Amendment destroyed by the drug war. Your Second Amendment, they're hunting that bad boy for the drug war. Well, the college is on the First Amendment too. Hopefully they get sorted out. You got your Fifth Amendment, your Fourth Amendment, all of that because of the drug war.
It's all in the chopping block.
Yeah.
It's going to come back though. I'm telling you, America's moving in a more free direction. I feel it. We get to be more vocal. We're on the internet. I'm able to talk to these people, have interviews.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just a regular guy, but they'll talk to you.
Yep.
They'll go online. So
you're not just a regular guy. You see outside the parameters it's laid out for you.
I'm telling you, it's more and more common.
I know. Yeah, I hope so. I hope there's not going to be some kind of, it's things like this coronavirus scare. Every time that something like this comes up, they just reel in more control with it. It's just used. Well, we'll see what happens. But anyways, enjoy the interview. If you have any questions for anyone we interview, you can pass them along and we'll try, getting them on the hook for some answers.
And if there's anyone you want us to interview that's running for office in our area, please reach out to us so we can try to reach out to them.
If they're a Democrat, reach out to them to reach out to us, because so far Democrats
we've had a hard time.
Yeah, they say yeah, I'll come on, and then every time that day they just keep saying, oh, I can't make it. My poodle needs to be shaved, or there's always, we just can't get them to come and talk to us. And we're not opposed to what they have to say. I want to hear what they have to say. We need both of them.
I'm probably opposed to most of it, but
yeah,
I still want to hear.
Yeah. Some of the stuff they have to say, I guess I should say. The legalizing of drugs. I want to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, that stuff gets them the elections.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, so enjoy the interview, and we'll be back hopefully with the end of the coronavirus news, we can come have a celebration and get hammered. Maybe we can do it in a public place again with toilet paper. Maybe build a toilet paper fort. Oh, one more thing. So I heard that there was a restaurant that had all of its toilet paper and paper towels stolen out of their bathroom today
Where's that restaurant?
in Grantsville.
Amazing.
it's getting out of hand. All right, enjoy the show, and we'll see you in a week.
Okay, and 1, 2, 3. Hello, Utah. I'm here with Greg Hughes. He's running for governor of Utah. Fantastic guy. I just listened to him speak for at least an hour and a half. I loved everything he had to say, but we're going to ask him some questions right here on the Twilla Happy Hour podcast. Greg, nice to meet you.
Hey, good to meet you.
Tell me about yourself in about 4 minutes before we start asking
4
questions.
minutes. Look, I was raised by a single mom in a blue collar neighborhood in Pittsburgh. Tough to make ends meet. So you move around a lot. Maybe power gets shut off. You get evicted and things like that. But it made me a stronger person. My mother always loved me, but we had some tough times. But with that, I went on a church mission. Came back. Pittsburgh, it's a drinking town with a football problem. I don't know if you know that about Pittsburgh. So
I can imagine.
I headed out west. I came here in a Suzuki Samurai, not a handcart, and came out to Utah to make my way. And I found a state that I could get an education. I could start a small business and get married and raise a family. And Utah has been a phenomenal place. It's a pioneering state. It's a place that grows a lot. And public service and trying to give back has been something that I feel fortunate about and wanted to do for a while now, and I have. I was in our state house for 16 years. I served as the majority whip in the state house for 4 years, and then speaker of the house for 4 years. And so I got a small business I started with a friend when we were in our 20s. It's the business we still have today. It's in real estate and property management.
So I have to ask, where did you go on your mission, Greg?
Australia, Brisbane mission, and Papua New Guinea was part of that mission at the time. So.
Can you speak the language?
Australian or Papua New Guinea? They got a ton of dialects in Papua New Guinea, so no, I kept English all the way through. Pidgin
Sounds
English
good.
is a whole different thing. But
G'day, mate, right?
Yeah.
Is that what they say? So let's ask a local Twilla question first.
yes,
So you used to work for UTA, correct?
I was a board member. I was asked by Salt Lake County mayors to serve on the UTA's board and did serve on that board for about 8 years.
Okay, so Tooele has a huge traffic problem. That's one of the biggest gripes
Yep.
that our citizens seem to have with our government, and they want it resolved. One of the things that I've noticed about the Tooele transportation system, the public transportation system, we do not have a bus on Saturday and Sunday. And getting to the airport from Tooele, it's actually very difficult to even use Uber or Lyft. We actually have a Facebook page specifically designed to ask people, hey, can you Uber or Lyft me? We can't even just use the app straight out.
Really? Wow.
So, Greg, what would be the chances, if you're the governor, that we would be able to reform a transportation system that would accommodate bus routes for Tooele in a more generous fashion?
Yeah, so you need it. I mean, you've got 80. Last stats I saw is 80% of, and you're talking weekends right now, but let's just talk about the county. 80% of the workforce that wakes up every day in Tooele County commutes into Salt Lake County to go to work. You're pinched between the Great Salt Lake and the Ochre Mountains. The transportation challenges are pretty prohibitive. Mass transit's a solution for that, and it should be enhanced to actually get cars off the road, because that traffic and that pinch point such a nightmare. That's the purpose of mass transit. But additionally, look, I think we're at a stage now where Utah, and Tooele County is part of this, you got to see some economic opportunity in your own county. The idea that you're going to have to leave your county every single day to make your way, to do anything, it's not a trajectory that the state can continue. 4 counties, which make up the Wasatch Front, cannot see all the growth, all the jobs, all the infrastructure of roads and rail and water. It can't. The state of Utah can't continue on that route. What you're experiencing as a county is what we're seeing around a lot of the state. Transportation's a nightmare because you don't have some of those economic opportunities that have happened elsewhere. Here's the good news. Wasatch Front they're feeling it now. They don't want any more growth. So their interest of not wanting to see the growth continue because they can't fit it, align now perfectly with Tooele county where you need to see more economic opportunity or transportation solutions. So that means that getting smarter transit solutions and more multimodal, how we get around, it's on its way for Tooele if we want to survive as a state and continue to grow. If I'm your governor, what I've just described to you, I know well because of as a state policymaker, as a legislator, but you need to have a governor ready to spend that political capital. But I'm telling you, the time has come. Tooele County has to have those transportation options, infrastructure investment, and even economic opportunity. You haven't seen it.
So to piggyback on that, you were talking about the inland port.
Yes.
And a lot of people on Facebook on the Tooele 411 are saying that this can't help the infrastructure and the roadways of Tooele. It will only make it worse. But you made a fantastic case in there that I never thought of, and it opened up my eyes. Can you explain to the listeners how the Tooele port, from your perspective, would in fact alleviate traffic?
So it's kind of like if you go to Wasatch Front and you see the light rail and the commuter rail, there's 130 miles of rail for people, okay? And we have in the state of Utah more people that own automobiles that use mass transit, they call them choice riders, in any transit system in the country. Why that's good is instead of, if you love to use your car, you love the idea that people that own cars don't use them and they use mass transit. It takes cars off the road. 44 million trips on UTA's mass transit. Many of those are taking cars off the road that would otherwise be making the roads even more congested. It's the same principle with freight. You have a line that comes through Tooele from the Oakland port. The more rail that we have, and you have rail infrastructure in your county, the more we're able to invest in that infrastructure and have rail as a solution to move freight, the less trucks. It's the same equation. The more rail, less trucks. And so if we have a system, and why it's good for Utah is because of the Intercontinental Railroad and being that initial line that connected east to west, every single port, coastal port, that has containers and imports and exports and a global supply chain that's growing and creating this economy, every one of those rail lines comes into the state of Utah from all those ports on the west coast somewhere. Well, Tooele is one of the communities and counties that has a major rail line that comes through it. If we connected the other rail around this in this county to create a more efficient rail system, it is absolutely less trucks. It is not more. That actually getting trucks off the road for the whole state is gonna improve air quality. It's gonna create less congestion. And here's the thing: currently, right now, trucks are taking alfalfa to ports and then driving back empty. You've got trucks that come from the basin, 300 trucks a day from the basin up to North Salt Lake. There's so much traffic by way of trucks right now because we don't have an efficient rail system. It's all sitting there waiting for us to invest and make and enhance. And at the same time we do that, you'll have jobs that would come to Tooele County that you don't have to go into that pinch point trying to get into Salt Lake County every day because you could see economic growth in a responsible way. You got great public servants in Tooele. You could grow in a way because you know it's coming. And you could see that economic opportunity happen in Tooele County instead of just in adjacent counties.
Right. And 300 trucks a day is well above the pollution of one train, I would imagine. I would imagine one train can take, how many trucks do you think off the road?
Yeah, I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know the equation, but I've counted. I mean, you've got 200, 300 cars that are on there, and those cars, the nice thing about rail is you can increase capacity by adding a car, but trucks need lanes. Lanes are where everyone else is trying to drive as well.
Right.
And what do they do when lanes fill up? They slow down and they idle. You can increase capacity on rail. This is commuter rail or for freight by adding cars, and you're not slowing down anything, and you're certainly not touching the roads that trucks and cars would otherwise be on. So I'm telling you, we have such an advantage with the rail infrastructure in our state. And here's the takeaway. An inland port is not one location. You don't want it in one location. You want a system statewide of different areas of the state that could have U.S. custom bonded ports to see that kind of economic activity that happens in ports. Inland ports isn't a new concept. Utah's been studying it as in different ways since 1978, but we have inland ports east of the Rockies in the United States, and you're seeing them all over the world where the global supply chain, China and other places, Hong Kong, where you're seeing even Japan, where inland ports are being utilized to create a higher efficiency and a logistics solution to let the trade go. So look, If Tooele wants it, it's well primed to have it. And you deserve as a county infrastructure investment from the state. The rest, those 4 counties in the Wasatch Front, they've had all of it. It's time to see other counties receive that and the economic opportunities that come from it.
Right. It sounds worth it, especially if we can get people to drive more into Tooele than to Salt Lake. It'll definitely alleviate roads. I see your
And
point.
there's an ecosystem there. When you have that, what comes outside that? I mean, there's people have to eat somewhere. People have to shop. There is an ecosystem with an economy that grows. And so, yeah, you would see so much employment that could be available close by where you're not trying to make that haul to the Salt Lake County and going through all that's going on there. I don't think you can blast the Ochre Mountains out, widen it out. I don't know that if this model of just, we're all going to go to Salt Lake County from Tooele County forever. I don't see it as sustainable.
It's unsafe. It's not sustainable. It pollutes.
Yep.
Definitely a lot of positives to that I didn't see until today. Thank you for explaining that to me. Another thing I wanted to talk about, another topic here in Tooele that was pretty big recently. The governor has recently said that we would take in 11,000 refugees. Now, those 11,000 refugees will have to be distributed somewhere, and our commissioner has graciously offered Tooele as one of the points where these refugees could come and resettle. What is your feeling about introducing refugees to Tooele?
So here's the problem.
Not just Tooele, but Utah.
Tooele to the whole state of Utah. So let's talk about this. Here's one of these topics. We mentioned this in the town hall meeting. We're getting to a point in politics where if you even have an opinion and someone doesn't agree with it, then you're a racist or you're a bigot, or they attach the worst of humankind's, worst traits to you if you don't agree. You're a deplorable if you don't agree. This issue is one of those issues ripe for being personally attacked if you don't say the right thing. So,
oh yeah, I know.
I'm just gonna. I don't think I'll pass the politically correct test right now, but I'm going to tell you the truth about this issue. The United States has always had a refugee program. Okay, we have areas of the world where there's communism, where there's oppression, where people are it's a flight for their lives and their families' lives. And the United States is a melting pot. We've always been a country that has received people that have been in trouble and in danger. That number that a presidential administration sets has been as high as, for nationally, not for the state of Utah, nationally has been as much as 45,000. There have been times where it's been 30,000. The Trump administration, because of the public safety or the national security issues, places around the world where people would seek to harm us, commit terrorist acts, there are still places in the world where people are trying to flee with their lives. It is appropriate. But this administration has pared it down to, I believe, 16,000, 18 or 16,000 for the whole country. They've also been very prescriptive in this executive order, where they've said from Cuba or from certain countries in Central America, where they've been prescriptive of how many from certain places, hotspots around the world. It might feel good to say we want all of those and more for the state of Utah. It might make you sound compassionate. It might make you sound like you really, really, really care. But if you're doing it in conflict with issues related to national security, if you are contradicting a presidential administration and all that work they put in to pegging that number of refugees in a responsible and safe way, if you're a governor and you're going beyond what that executive order is calling for the whole country, it's not safe. It's cavalier. It might feel good, but when you get down to the details, we've got to let good information drive good decisions. And we should be working with our administration in terms of its refugee policy, not saying we'll take all that you want to give and we want more on top of that. That is, I just don't see that workable, and I think it's dangerous. So I think it appeals to a lot of people in terms of we're a good state and we want to do the right thing and we want to help people because we do. But don't get out in front of an administration that's looking at this and understands the world, its climate, its dangers far better than we do. You need to be working with that administration. And if I'm the governor, I would absolutely be doing it that way.
Well, thank you for your time, Gary. I wish you the best.
It's Greg.
Greg. Oh, did I say that?
So I haven't. So this whole town hall meeting, I got work to do.
We'll edit that, right? Don't let me forget.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, thank you, man.
And
thank you.
I'm definitely on board. I really liked what
Thank
you
you.
had to say,
Thanks.
and it was a totally educating experience for me. So
Awesome.
thank you very
I'm
much.
glad you came.
And keep making America great again.
We're gonna do it,
All right.
man. We're gonna do it. It's gonna be fun. This is a good race. I don't mind getting out there on some of these issues because you got a lot of candidates that